it's just the facts.
Hi, I'm Rick Aaliyah. Welcome to our video. Mike Kelly is seeking re-election to the United States House of Representatives from Pennsylvania's 16th District against Democratic challenger Ron Dinicola. Recently, the two men met in the only scheduled debate of the campaign. Mr. Kelly is an enthusiastic puppet of President Donald Trump. In the interest of accuracy, we'd like to take a look at some of the statements he made during the course of the debate. But first, let's take a look at some of Mr. Kelly's votes in Congress. Mr. Kelly voted for a farm bill that would strip food stamp benefits from 2 million low-income Americans, including 469,000 households with young children, 667,000 households with seniors, and 214,000 households with people with disabilities. Mr. Kelly voted for a health care bill that would cause 23 million more people to be without insurance, cut Medicaid spending by about $700 billion, and provide tax cuts that overwhelmingly benefit the rich. Mr. Kelly voted for a tax bill that is heavily skewed to favor corporations and the rich, will add an estimated $1.5 trillion to our deficit, and eliminates the Affordable Care Act's individual mandate, which would lead to 13 million more uninsured people. Mr. Kelly has backed the efforts of Representative Devin Nunes to undermine the probe of Special Counsel Robert Mueller and in turn protect President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin while leaving us more vulnerable to future attacks on our elections. Now let's look at what Mr. Kelly had to say about coverage of pre-existing conditions.
We have always kept pre-existing conditions in there.
While Mr. Kelly has said the goal is to protect those with pre-existing conditions, this is what's actually happened. Pre-existing conditions are protected under the Affordable Care Act, which the Republicans have voted to repeal numerous times. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that if his party has enough votes after the midterm elections, it will try again to repeal the law. The Republican-controlled Justice Department has joined 19 states in asking the courts to eliminate the pre-existing conditions protections. A number of Republicans have been campaigning on the claim they want to protect pre-existing conditions, even though their actions up to now have been to do the opposite. Now let's look at what Mr. Kelly had to say about climate change and the Paris Climate Agreement.
There's evidence out there that the planet is getting warmer. It could be from human beings, right?
In case you get the impression that Mr. Kelly is expressing some doubt as to whether man's activities contribute to climate change, this information from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration may help. 97% of actively publishing climate scientists agree the climate warming trends over the past century are extremely likely due to human activities. Most of the leading scientific organizations worldwide have issued public statements endorsing this position. Republicans have tried to put both sides of the climate change issue on equal footing. They want you to see it like this. But the fact is, the vast majority of climate experts believe that climate change is real and that humans are contributing to the problem. So the support for the two positions actually looks like this.
And when we talk about global climate change, it shouldn't be the United States alone. We're putting a lot of pressure on the United States saying it's up to you to do this. It's up to you, United States, to carry the ball. It's up to you, United States, to be the lead. And we know the greatest polluters in the world, the greatest people, the biggest amount of this that's taking place is not taking place in the United States. It's taking place in China. It's taking place in Russia. It's taking place in other parts of the world. They're not under the same sanctions as the United States is. So the United States is being channeled and being saddled to take this on themselves. This is what the Paris Climate Accord was about, right? The United States by itself trying to carry the load for the rest of the world.
Actually, just about everything Mr. Kelly said about the Paris Climate Agreement isn't true. The Paris Climate Agreement is an agreement between nearly 200 countries to impose voluntary goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the fight against climate change. There is no punishment or sanctions involved. This isn't the United States going alone. This is an historic cooperative agreement to try to address a real danger to our planet. The United States under former President Barack Obama was a leader in trying to address the issue of climate change. Today, the United States is the only member of the United Nations that isn't a party to the agreement after President Donald Trump pulled out of it. As far as Mr. Kelly's contention that the United States isn't one of the world's biggest polluters, according to this chart from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency on CO2 emissions for 2014, China was the leader with 30%. The United States was second with 15%, followed by the European Union, India, the Russian Federation, and Japan. It should be noted that it was recently reported that the world stands on the brink of failure when it comes to holding global warming to moderate levels, and nations will need to take unprecedented actions to cut their carbon emissions over the next decade, according to a landmark report by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It seems that pretty much the only people who don't acknowledge the danger of climate change are Mr. Kelly, the Republican Party, and the fossil fuel industry. Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to go to our website, Letters to Mike Kelly. There you'll find a collection of correspondence to and from Mr. Kelly on various issues. I think it provides an enlightening look at the candidate. Most importantly, please go out and vote on November 6th. Remember, this is the election of your lifetime.